One thing I've learned over the years is I don't make predictions. And if you want to be atop that mountain, there's a lot that has to go right and very little that has to go wrong.
I think when you look back at their dual meet match earlier in the year where, Matt put him on his back a couple times and, it was an exciting, first period of wrestling. And right then you kind of knew that Ramos had, what we call, I guess, the puncher's chance,
Now he shucks by there and gets Spencer Lee taken down. Really nice work right there. Oh, throw right there.
Matt Ramos.
Beautiful.
Matt Ramos has Lee on his back.
Nice job of Lee getting back, and that's 6 points.
As an athlete, you can be very good at one area, but if you want to be like the best, if you want to be the best at your craft, you're going to have to learn different techniques, different positions.
Well, I've known Matt for quite some time. Even before he got here, I knew who Matt Ramos was. He was a cadet world champion, as a high school kid. So him being who he was, everyone kind of knew him, and I was very fortunate because I coached high school before, and he was about an hour away from where I was, so he worked out with our high school group a couple of times. So I knew Matt. I've known Matt for quite some time, and he's a different guy. He's Matt Ramos. He walks in the room and puts a smile on everyone's face, and he when you see him, he's always in good spirits, and no matter what the situation is, he's always in a good mood and does all the right things.
My first impressions of Matt were, as I was a guy that was wrestling him, was he was definitely talented. He's definitely a little smaller than me, but the fact that he was smaller and felt like just as strong or stronger than me was something that you could tell, because in wrestling you can never be too strong. So he was, I felt his grip strength, I felt his explosiveness, and I know he's very capable of doing some dangerous things. Definitely saw a lot of potential in him right away.
So when Matt went into the portal, we obviously were very excited. We had some personal knowledge too of not only who he was as a person and his work ethic and those kinds of things. But if you go back to who he was in high school, it was awesome. He was a world champ. He was a state champ. He had shown tremendous potential. He had a lot of things on his resume that were pretty exciting. About who he was and what he could be. So those two things combined, I think, were really instrumental in as far as our desire to bring him here and knowing kind of what he was going to need from an atmosphere or an environment to do well.
I wanted to do even more. I wanted, what's the next thing for me? There's always more, my biggest fear is peaking as a wrestler, and I know a lot of wrestlers that have won national tournaments as like an 8-year-old, and then when I get to high school, I've never heard of them again. I was ready to move on to the Division I and Big Ten pretty much all together, and move to the hardest conference and see whatever was ready to come at me.
He's one of those kids that when he says something, you believe he's going to do it. He tells you, I'm going to be a world champion, you believe he's going to be a world champion. He tells you, I'm going to be an Olympic champion someday, and you believe it. You come through guys every now and then that just say things, and you're like, okay, yeah, you're going to be an NCAA champion, okay, whatever. And Matt's one of those guys, when he says something, you really understand, like, this guy believes he's going to do it. Matt's first words to me when we recruited him was, I just want to wrestle. And I want to wrestle and I want to win. And that's what he's done.
The top seed Spencer Lee of Iowa claims his second Big Ten title. One of the top wrestlers in all the country. Historic season by Spencer Lee. Spencer Lee has won 55 straight. Spencer Lee, undefeated, 17-0, now a 3-time Big Ten champion.
Spencer Lee to me growing up as like a youth wrestler, watching him. Multiple-time world champion, and in high school, that was one of my goals. I want to be on the world team. I want to be a world champion. I was just amazed by the way he wrestled, and I said, I want to be on that caliber of wrestling.
Matt has been wanting to wrestle him, and obviously he knows that he's dangerous, as everyone else does now. But the only thing we're worried about is Matt's bottom against Spencer, who's one of the best on top, and so that's really the only focus. Other than that, it's go wrestle. We really got to see, you know, it was a good gauge for us to be like, all right, like this is an area that we got to make sure we really focus on.
Spencer wanted to wrestle. He came forward, and that's not always the case. Some guys don't want to wrestle Matt. You know, they feel like their best chance to win is to stay away or try to manage themselves through it. And Spencer came at us and wanted to wrestle. I think that plays into, you know, what we do well. And so, getting up big wasn't surprising. Again, it was knowing that Spencer was going to mount a challenge. He was going to come after you. He was going to continue to wrestle hard.
As I prepared for the duel against Iowa, where I was gonna wrestle Spencer for the first time, there's a lot of things that go on in my mind, but I think it's just a matter of maturity and being able to eliminate doubt. That all depends on me doing the right things. Am I going to bed early? Am I eating everything? Am I working out? Am I doing extra? And when the time came, my confidence was at 100. Coach Ursuline always told me, why stress on it if I can't wrestle him today? So you can't win the match today, you win it when it's time.
Yeah, I think from just a mentality standpoint, it was about just staying focused. Athletes talk a lot about just staying in the moment, and I think it comes down to that. Like, let's not be surprised. Focus on the next thing you've got to do to advance your position or finish the takedown or whatever it is. And I think Matt was really pretty intentional about working himself mentally in certain ways too. You know, the way he talked to himself and the way he thought about that match, I thought he did a great job. Just personally, just hearing him talk about what he was thinking and how he was working himself mentally.
The staff's preparation before the first time we wrestled against Spencer, they told me the same things. Leroy tells me, you're a world champion. You are the best wrestler in the world.
One of the things that I always do to Matt is I always tell him he's the best. I always tell him that nobody can beat him. This guy standing across from him just weighed what he weighed an hour ago. There's no way this guy works out harder than him. There's no way that this guy's put more time into him. And I said, you believe you are the best, you are the best. You're a world champion, you're a world champion. And I always tell him that all the time of how good he is and, you know, what he's capable of doing. You know, Matt believed that going out there into that first match. And I think if you watch the film on that first match, you know, I told Matt, just wrestle, have fun, you know. There's 4 people in the building here that believe you can win. And more than likely, there's probably only 2 people. Maybe me, you, and some of the coaches believe that you can really win this match, you know? And, you know, our stadium's packed to watch Spencer Lee, and people come to see him wrestle. And Matt didn't care about that. Matt just gonna go out there.
I do see him in the wrestling room as we're like warming up before we weigh in. I was just very excited. In high school, I saw him win a national title, so I had all those flashbacks, and I just smiled because now I'm actually here and I get to wrestle him. So I wasn't worrying about, oh, okay, he's very good here, or just stressing on certain areas that he's strong in. I'm more focusing on just like remembering, like, okay, I made it this far and I can do it. So we get ready for the duel, and it's the environment's electric. In Purdue, we had all of our fans there. We get up, and now the match is ready to begin.
Spencer Lee, the 7th three-time national champion in Iowa history. He is chasing down number 4. Matt Ramos, 19-2. Really good season, Jim, 21-10, and really good in freestyle.
And now he shucks by there and gets Spencer Lee taken down. Really nice work right there. Oh, throw right there to Lee.
Matt Ramos.
Beautiful.
Matt Ramos has Lee on his back.
Nice job of Lee getting back, and that's 6 points. 8-1 lead right now, Shane.
Matt Ramos came to wrestle, and he has the 3-time national champion against the ropes here early, and this crowd is into it. And here comes
the tilt, Shane.
Patented tilt from Spencer Lee.
3,
4, and now he's looking for a fall.
Less than 10 seconds, and that's the fall.
Spencer Lee.
What we saw from Matt Ramos in that dual meet was that he expected to win. A lot of times, guys that wrestle Spencer Lee might wrestle the last name, they might wrestle the singlet, they might wrestle that Iowa. And he showed early on in that dual meet that he was there not to keep it close, not to feel him out. I mean, he comes out, hits a lateral drop. I mean, he was going to win. So that, to me, heading into that semifinal, I knew it was going to be a dogfight. I never thought to myself, yeah, this is, Spencer Lee's going to win this match. I mean, it's just not that easy. And against the guy that has confidence, you knew that he had confidence going in. I don't think it was any surprise. If you look at Matt Ramos, if I'm in that opposite corner, I'm thinking to myself, this guy is super hot right now. Momentum, confidence. We're in for a dogfight.
People ask me a lot too, like, why is my confidence so high? Going against Spencer Lee, a lot of people are getting a lot of doubt in their mind, a lot of, I don't know, what if, but win or lose, I'm here to learn. I work really hard, so there's not a reason for me to not be able to beat someone of this caliber. It's just a test. Life is a test, so why not give everything I have for this moment when it's been building up for all these years?
I wasn't really surprised that we were scoring from our feet and that the exchanges were so good in our favor, knowing that, hey, it's going to continue, Spencer's going to continue to come after us, and what happened there. And we just didn't handle it well. I think we got up and were a little surprised that we were up and got distracted instead of staying in the match, focus on the next thing we got to do.
Yeah, I think right after Matt's first match, it wasn't that bad of a feeling. I'm a guy that is forward thinking, positive thinking. We did a lot of good things in that match very quickly, and we could keep doing that. And so, I'm never someone to be like, oh man, that sucks. I wish we could. No, it's like, okay, we understood what happened. We're gonna get better from that position. But also, there's a lot of really good stuff that you can take from almost any situation. And particularly that match, his first match with Spencer, is like, man, I know I'm capable.
When he takes him down right away, I was just like, oh my God. And it was one of those, as a coach, you're like, man, this guy, he really believes this. This is gonna happen. This is it. This is gonna happen. Matt's one of those wrestlers that if you make those little mistakes on him, he's gonna capitalize on them. And Matt, for that, like I said earlier, that split second, he stopped believing that he can win. And, as a wrestler, you start hearing the crowd, you start hearing other things, and he lost focus. Matt and I talked about this. I don't know, maybe, was he satisfied? Maybe he was like, hey, you know what, and then he gave him a lot, too much respect. And, maybe he was just satisfied with being up 8-1 or 8-3. And then, boom, we find ourselves getting pinned.
After the first takedown, not only the first takedown, the second takedown, which was a lat drop to his back, I was very shocked, and in my mind I said, it's that easy? And then as we transition into that over-under situation, I threw him to his back. Now my eyes are widening, and you always hear the term, don't get too much dip on your chip, and that's what happened. When you wrestle, for those that don't wrestle or have ever gone in a fight or something like that, your adrenaline spikes. You don't really think a lot. And in that moment when I threw him, my adrenaline turned off.
For Matt, taking advantage, the biggest thing was being able to wrestle and make him wrestle for 7 minutes. Making him go to war was some stuff that some of the words we talked about all the time is we are going to war for 7 minutes. This isn't gonna be a minute 50, this isn't gonna be 3 minutes. And throughout the whole year, no one knew how healthy Spencer Lee was. As a coach, some of the things that, I kept putting into, Ramos's head is, he doesn't wanna wrestle you. We're the bad draw. We ended up getting the 4th seed at the NCAA tournament. And it was one of those where I kept telling him, I was like, everyone wants to be on the other side of Spencer Lee. Nobody wants to be on the same side as him. And I told him, I don't care when we wrestle him. We want to wrestle him. You want this.
Just being, and this is a general thing, this isn't just Matt, but anytime you go into the NCAA tournament, it's 3 days and 5 matches at a minimum, and it was just getting him ready for the consistency of what it would take over the course of those 3 days.
From our worst positions to being Spencer's best position, that was the first mountain that we had to climb. But then also just Spencer as a kid himself winning, you know, a world title just like Matt has done. I've coached a lot of kids against him, and that was the first time getting the win over him.
He doesn't want this, you want it. So it was getting to that point from the first match all the way to the NCAAs, getting him to believe that this is what you want. And it's hard as a coach sometimes to get those guys to believe, like, you know what, you want to wrestle the best guy. This is what you want.
Fill in the blank for me. Just say, going into the NCAA tournament, however you want to phrase that, I wanted to blank.
I wanted to be a national champion.
And you were fully confident that you were capable of that.
100%.
So now we're at the NCAA tournament, and the biggest thing is getting a guy like Matt who wants to win a national title. And we knew in the back of our mind, to win that national title, we got to get through Spencer Lee. The biggest thing is getting him to wrestle one match at a time. Let's get this first match done. Let's move on to the next one.
There's no other way to think about any tournament besides going one match at a time. Yes, he had some hard matches along the way that came down to the wire, but the thing is, it really doesn't matter. It's all about who gets their hand raised at the end of the match. The only thing you can think about is getting in, get the job done, get out, and go rest.
You know, every match was, you know, by 1 point. We're down by we're down by 1 with 5 seconds left. But that's who Matt is. Matt believes, and if you watch all the matches, Matt's calm in every match. I mean, I'm having a heart attack. I mean, I got text messages from my wife and everyone going, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And you know, I'm freaking out, but Matt is just a guy. He's calm, and he knows he's going to win. He has that belief that I don't care what the score is. At the end, when that buzzer goes off, I'm going to be on top and I'm going to win. And that's who he is.
I remember, so the run of nationals, looking at the bracket, and I knew that Spencer, we were going to be on the same side. We were going to end up having to meet sometime. I don't like to plan ahead because sometimes if you plan ahead, what's going on in the present, what's going on in front of you, things could get put off. So I had to take every moment by the time it came. It was a journey just to even get up to that semis match. You know, everyone just thinks about that match against Spencer Lee, but the whole NCAA tournament's a movie, you know. Everyone's journey there is a movie. It's not just one, this match is gonna be easy. There's no easy matches at the national tournament. After becoming an All-American, I never really thought that I would wrestle Spencer right there because I wasn't planning ahead. I don't remember how the bracket was looking. I just knew eventually, if it came down to it, we were gonna meet each other. So right after the match, I run out to the tunnel and I'm getting interviewed by like 15 different reporters. They're saying, "Oh, you ready to have your rematch against Spencer?" And I'm telling them I trust in my confidence and I believe that I am the best wrestler in the world. I still have adrenaline in my eyes from becoming an All-American, but I could still see that shocked face in their eyes that like, is this kid crazy? I've been doubted pretty much my whole life. I was always the little kid that they would give me crap for or bully me about it, but then that doubt is what fuels that fire, especially in wrestling. Take my deep breath, just like before. We're back. And the match begins.
One thing I thought was pretty good about this match is Matt coming out right away.
I really felt really good. Just about his demeanor and his body language was very positive going in.
From space, I shoot a double leg. I catch him in the same exact position. He bellied out very quick, and I was able to get 2 back points, so we're up to 4-0 with 1:30 left in the first period. There's one detail in the end of the first period that not a lot of people can see. The move I ended up pinning Spencer with is not just a move that I randomly hit. I trained that move a lot. 2 seconds left, I hit the move, he goes all the way around. Time runs out, and I'm good.
We just wanted to make sure we didn't try to work into the match.
The one thing that I carry out with me in my head is to not be surprised if I'm beating him.
It was important that, Matt knew going into this, stay calm, keep your composure, and we're going to be okay.
The fact that Matt is coming right at him, he's not backing down, he could tell, I think that's the first, all right, this guy's here to wrestle.
He gets right a hold of my arm, just like the first match we had, and I'm trying to go over some defense that I've been practicing, and at that point now it's just being able to try to not go over to my back.
Still in it. Obviously, the score is still 5-4. He just got his turn. He got his escape.
That was actually best case scenario. And they go into that takedown that happened on the edge of the mat.
But when we gave up this 2, initially, man, you're like, this is tough. So I'm thinking, this took a turn in the wrong direction.
So now it's 7-4 with 50 seconds left, and we're back where Spencer Lee's good. And now that doubt sets in, and you're like, oh, man.
The call ended up going to Spencer with the takedown where they said his foot was in bounds. I have to think now, what's the best way that I can score and be able to win and take over this match?
So 3-point deficit for Ramos here in the final minute of the third. He is out. 2-point match.
Ramos able to knock Lee to his rear end there. Locked hands. Able to roll through. Did he catch him under his back? He did.
He's got him. He's got him on his back. Oh my goodness.
Look out. It's Ramos.
And he's looking for the fall. He's looking for the fall. If he just holds him here, he's going to pull one of the biggest upsets in NCAA wrestling history. No one would have expected this. Oh my goodness.
He's not going to get off his back. Not going to be able to.
He did it.
Stepped across right there.
And he's looking for the fall. He's looking for the fall.
Your 10 words or less reaction to that win that night.
Holy shit, Matt Ramos just pinned Spencer Lee.
The kid did it because he believed in himself. I mean, that's just all to it. He believed he can do it.
After that moment, all my emotions came out, and it was very weird because I've had that dream of me wrestling him, and in all those dreams, it wasn't by a decision or a major or tech. It was all by pin. It felt insane. It felt so unreal, but I've seen it happen so many times before in my own head that when it happened, it felt like it's happened before. Once I heard that Matt slap, I could hear maybe Vega yelling because he's a very loud voice, but I was able to hear every single cheer going on. It was amazing to be able to hear a crowd cheering for me. I just wanted to make sure I looked at everything and observed what was going on before I just lived in the moment. I want to make sure that I'm seeing everything, I'm hearing everything, smelling everything.
I mean, it's unreal. It hasn't really hit me, but I think manifesting it and speaking it into the air. I mean, I had an interview earlier, and I was saying that I'm ready for Spencer, and a lot of people are like, what makes you think you could beat him? I'd say, I work really hard and I trust in what I believe in, and being able to speak it out into existence. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but I just have to speak it into existence, and I believe it'll come true. Observing the crowd are here, this is what I live for. Every arena I walk into, I'm watching the crowd. I'm like, this is why I'm here. I won't get this every single day.
I've coached a lot of great kids that have come through my path, whether I've had a little part of them or whatever. And Matt is one of those kids that, I say this and I don't mean this by disrespect, but he's actually even a better person than he is a wrestler. For me as a father, and I always go back to you know, we forget that we have lives outside of wrestling. You know, Matt is the guy that, you know, my kid's wrestling in a tournament, and Matt calls me to wish him luck. Like, he doesn't have to do that. But that's the type of person he is. He's gonna do great things in life outside of wrestling, you know, 20 years from now because of who he is. And I think someday he'll make a great coach.
The flood of emotions, right? Like, that's more than just the win for me, because I'm thinking of our entire time at Purdue, and again, it's the blood round losses, the heartbreaks, the sleepless nights. You're thinking of a lot of those things. You know, that's just where you go as a coach. It's more than just Matt too in that moment. It's a lot of things going through your head.
I know there's a story of him giving a kid a strap off his shoe, and he said, "Here you go. I want you to wave these in the air when I pin Spencer Lee." And the kid still had the strap, and I think this year he had brought it back to him at a camp to sign. And it was just a cool situation of like speaking it into existence and saying like, "Here you go, man. It hasn't happened yet, but this thing, you can wave in the air when I pin him."
I kept thinking to myself, this guy did it. He did it. He said he was gonna do it. He did it. And when he stepped over, and Coach Ursuline and Coach Shop and myself, and we're screaming, "He's pinned!" And I look over, and I think Coach Ursuline's slapping the mat, and you know, the crowd's screaming, and everyone's going crazy. It was like a movie. I mean, the ref, finally he slaps the mat, and it was like, you know, it was like a dream, you know, when Matt stands up and puts his arms up in the air, and I swear there was like music in the background, and I'm just like, oh my God, he did it.
In my career, there's few things I've seen that have made an arena that loud. It's one of those things when you fill out the bracket, his name's going on the line, and then you fill out the rest of it behind it. That semifinal, I mean, it's never happened in the history of Division I wrestling where somebody going for their fourth title didn't make it to the finals. So it was definitely something that I'm definitely going to remember because of how deafening the arena was too.
Talk about poise. The poise Ramos had, collecting himself, going on bottom and hey, I'm down by 3. I got to get that quick escape and then get back on. What a win for the program. What a win for Tony Ursuline, who I think does a phenomenal job at Purdue. That match had a lot of significance to it, more than just Matt Ramos. As big as it was for Matt Ramos, it was even bigger than that. Not only did he beat him, but to get the pin, I think obviously that really elevates it into another stratosphere. And iconic matches, iconic pins. It didn't take long to put the buzz into that arena in Tulsa. You want to be the best? That changes everything. If you want to be a national champ, you want to be the man, you have to do, I would highly recommend doing everything right. You know, the sky is the limit. I don't think there's any doubt we've seen what he can do.
It means a lot showing what Matt's potential is and the kind of kid he is. So you're excited for Matt on a level, again, because all these guys sacrifice tremendously. From a program level, you're really excited about what this can do for your program. And so I think what that can be for a lot of young guys, as well as the program, was really big. So now you're excited for a program level of where we can take this and what that means for other young people in the room. You know, I think people know they can come to Purdue and reach their goals.
I've been having this feeling of like, hey, like we've been working hard, we've been putting the time in. When is our moment? And that was the moment.
I don't want to be known as the guy that beat Spencer Lee. I want to be known as the best wrestler to ever live. Hodge Trophy winner, Olympic champion. I want to knock all of these goals off my list that I've had since I was a little kid. I didn't achieve the real dream of being a national champ. There's always work to be done. There's always work to be done. I've been finding ways to get back to work and figure out what's next because there's always something more. I want to be one of the most dominating wrestlers. I want to make an Olympic team. I want to be a world champion. I want to be the best in the sport of wrestling at 125 pounds or 57 kilograms.